We welcome now Caleb Saylor's Multimedia Journalist, SuperTalk Mississippi News. What the heck is that?
I like it.
Hey,
Somebody moved my button.
I see.
I didn't even look up, and I hit the button, and no, that's Thunder and Lightning's button.
Oh, I got you. I thought maybe it had to do with you getting your hair cut or something.
And I will say, I pale in comparison to the great Brian Haydad. So,
all right, Caleb, what's going on this week in Mississippi?
Gerard, we've got a lot going on, as per usual. Mississippi is a not incredibly largely populated state, but we sure do have a lot going on at all times here. But yesterday we got some news that Daniel Callahan, the man that was accused of, or he not accused, he admitted to doing this, killing his ex-girlfriend in in Louisiana, and then kidnapping her 2 children, taking them across state lines before ultimately being caught in Jackson. Well, he killed his ex-girlfriend, and then sadly, he killed the younger of the 2 children, too. It just horrible, egregious acts. Well, this man apparently had been a nuisance for a long time. He allegedly beat his ex-wife and wreaked havoc upon neighbors. I mean, all these people that know him have come and talked to various news outlets, whether it be in Louisiana and Mississippi, about his treatment towards others. And so it didn't come as a shock that he would do something so incredibly heinous. So he was given an indictment for capital murder, sexual battery, kidnapping, and receiving stolen property. I don't see how he doesn't get the death penalty. I mean, he asked for the death penalty.
Wow.
Reporters, after his initial hearing, reporters were gathered as he was being perp walked into a JPD vehicle, and he told reporters, he's like, yeah, I want the death penalty, and I want it to be done by lethal injection. Daniel Callahan's his name,
Wow.
and yeah, it's sad. And another woman has been arrested in connection with this case as well, 32-year-old Victoria Cox. She was taken into custody and charged with capital murder as one of Callahan's accomplices. Now, the full measure of her involvement in this case, I'm not entirely sure of. However, police are not taking this lightly. I know Jackson Police Chief Joseph Wade has talked about this case ad nauseum, has held multiple press conferences, and they're going to pursue the fullest extent of the law. And I don't see how Callahan escapes this without ending up on death row.
Unbelievable.
I mean, Gerard, you're a father. I mean, you just think about these things. I know we talk about these stories. I report the news. You hear us on our hourly news updates, and it can be a little desensitizing talking about these things. But when you think of the gravity of someone taking the life not only of another human being, but then also a child on top of that, it really brings you. It humbles you. It makes you think like, wow, there are people who do these horrible things out there, and then we see it in our own backyard at times. But it's good to see justice prevailing and that this man will be held accountable for his actions, though it doesn't bring back the lives of the lost.
Sad deal.
Speaking of which, another sad story. This man named Bryson Rivers is accused of, he had posted bond in Tennessee, was supposed to be wearing an ankle monitor that prevented him from leaving Tennessee. However, a paperwork error by the county clerk's office in Davidson County allowed this man to flee from Tennessee to go down to South Mississippi on the coast and kill his ex-girlfriend, Lauren Johansson, who was a nursing student at Southern Miss. Well, Johansson's father had sounded the alarm about this. He said that he wasn't notified about Rivers' release, and he was supposed to be notified about Rivers' release. He said that if he had been given a heads up, or anybody in the family had been given a heads up, they could have possibly protected Lauren from being murdered by this monster. Well, it was a complete paperwork error, though. The county clerk's office signed off on documents, and it didn't set up the parameters for Rivers' release. The sheriff's department even said that, too. In Davidson County, the sheriff was like, yeah, we didn't know. If we had known he wasn't supposed to leave Tennessee, we could have had that ankle monitor tapped to where, it notified us of him trying to leave the state. Well, he had initially been locked up in the Tennessee County for beating Johansson, his ex-girlfriend, and kidnapping her. And so, obviously, he posed a threat to her safety. Well, as soon as he got out and was able to get across state lines, he went down to the coast and killed her. So,
wow.
22-year-old nursing student, life taken by a scorned lover, a man that was clearly not right. I mean, had already abused her and kidnapped her, but then he killed her. And so, I definitely see lawsuits coming. I definitely see the family pursuing this further, but it's just sad. You never know what's going to happen in these cases. And so, yeah, that's where we are there. But he has been arrested and charged for her murder, and he's in jail in Harrison County.
I got you.
But, yeah, it's just these two stories are very, very heavy. Very heavy.
They are. Well, that's enough about the crime in the state of Mississippi. Give us some good news.
Well, we can, if you want to call taxes good news, Gerard, we've had a lot of political discussion surrounding taxes, on the campaign trail last year and throughout his entire term as governor. Tate Reeves has been adamant that he wants to eliminate the state's income tax. Gerard, on Election Day last year, I talked to the governor on the phone, and he told me that his utmost priority as governor is to completely eliminate the state's income tax.
Yep.
You and I were both at the Amazon Web Services groundbreaking in Canton a few weeks ago, and the governor said the same thing in the press conference there. We asked him about it. He said that is still his utmost priority. Well, Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann was in here a couple of days ago, and he kind of threw a curveball at those plans. He said, we could talk about tax cuts down the line, but as we continue to phase out the 5% tax cut, let's talk about cutting another tax, the grocery tax. I know Brandon Presley, on his campaign trail last year, was really harping on cutting the grocery tax, saying that it benefits poorer or working-class Mississippians more so than the income tax does. And the lieutenant governor kind of parroted those sentiments. He said, as we continue to phase out our state income tax, he hasn't heard a lot of people saying that they just really want the income tax to be cut in total, but Mississippi does lead the nation with the highest grocery tax at 7%.
At the state level.
At the state level, not nationally, at the state level. And, it is burdensome. We both go to the grocery store and we see the price and what inflation's done, and then having to pay that pesky 7%. For me, I live in Jackson. It's 8% for me, having to pay that on our bills.
Our overall sales tax burden, however, is less than the neighboring states and most of the states because not many of our counties and municipalities layer on additional sales taxes. If you look at the average sales tax rate in Alabama, Tennessee, Louisiana, it's 9%. It's north of that. So even though our sales tax on groceries is less, it just depends on how much of your money you spend on groceries versus non-grocery items that would be taxed in those states at the higher rate.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I wrote a story yesterday, and we published it. You can go to supertalk.fm and read all about it, detailing how the lieutenant governor does want to. Thank you, Jordan. Wants to shift his focus towards. He presides over the Senate, so obviously the Senate might be in line with that. But the governor has a lot of influence over the House and the Senate as well, and he has maintained that he wants to cut the income tax. He has not mentioned cutting the grocery tax. That has not been outlined on his agenda. I reached out to the governor's office for comment on that. He did not respond and say that he would be willing to pivot toward looking at the grocery tax. So we may have a little brouhaha coming in January over the taxes. Which one? Are we going to focus on income tax? Are we going to focus on grocery tax? I know Delbert's made it clear that he wants to look at the grocery tax.
I believe Speaker of the House Jason White has also commissioned a committee of House members who are tasked with studying income tax reform, the potential elimination. As you know, he supports that, as did his predecessor, Speaker of the House Philip Gunn. So it doesn't feel like the three top leaders are on the same page on this.
Well,
and a lot of other issues as well.
You have the governor on one side, you've got the lieutenant governor on the other side, and House Speaker Jason White was kind of like, I want to cut the grocery tax in half, but I also want to eliminate the income tax as well. But let's take our time doing that, because I know Senator Josh Harkins has come on this program and has talked about, hey, we can do this, but we need to take our time, and because you're cutting out a fourth of the state's revenue stream by cutting the income tax. And I'm all about tax cuts. I'm A-okay with more money going in my pockets, but you do have to think about the state's budget, how they're able to fund various programs and departments, and if you just undercut a fourth of their revenue stream,
I want to
adjust to that.
And I agree. I want to make this point. I would venture to say that most Democrats in the state would support reduction or elimination of the sales tax on groceries over paring back the income tax, right? However, they also support Joe Biden, who favors elimination or allowing the Trump tax cuts to expire, which means their taxes are going up. So if they really want to get more money in their pocket, they need to support Donald Trump. How about that?
Hey, you said your piece. And look, one more thing, too, before I hear the music. We had Monty Kiffin, the father of Lane Kiffin, legendary coach, passed away yesterday at the age of 84. Our condolences, obviously, to the Kiffin family as they endure this loss and suffering at this time. And, sad story. He was the founder of the Tampa 2 defense, kind of established the 4-3 defense that's widely used now in college and NFL ranks. And he will go down as one of the best defensive minds in football history.
No doubt about it. Sad story out of Oxford. Appreciate that, Caleb. Thanks for all your great work, and sure we'll be talking to you some more.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Gerard.
We're coming right back, folks, in the Element Well studio. Stay with us.